Skywalker was just a farm boy until he received a mysterious message from a princess.
Well, tomorrow's May the 4th, which is largely known as Star Wars Day, and a new study shows that Utah has the biggest Star Wars fans in the country. Bookies.com utilized search data for the term Star Wars from 2020 to 2024, and Utah was ranked #1 every single year.
Wow.
We are followed by Idaho, Alaska, Colorado, Oregon, in that order. And we have one of Utah's top Star Wars experts in studio today. Bryan Young teaches for the continuing education program at the University of Utah. He spent 10 years writing for StarWars.com. Even has a son named Anakin.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, wow. Well, thank you so much for being here. We're talking about Star Wars and how it continues to be a large part of our culture nearly 50 years later. You're a huge fan. We have a huge fan in studio as well. Our producer, Nick, he collects everything Star Wars themed. So why does it continue to be such a big part of our life?
One of the things about Star Wars is that it really tapped into a culture of mythology. Mythology is something that everyone really resonates with. George Lucas was a student of Joseph Campbell, who sort of took all of the commonalities of all of the religious and mythological stories across history. And George Lucas really distilled those in Star Wars. And when A New Hope came out, it was a very cynical time. If you look at the sort of films that were coming out in the mid-70s, they were known for a lot of grittiness. We were having a lot of unrest in the country surrounding the Vietnam War, and Star Wars was really a bright and shining light at that time that really showed people that they could believe in themselves and achieve something bigger and greater, and it tapped into that mythology that people have responded to since humans have been telling each other stories. And as the saga unfolded with new movies and new cartoons and new stories across comics and novels, it's just tapped into new audiences, and it refreshes itself with new generations.
So the metaphors were intentional. I'm picking up
Absolutely.
on. So how did it change movie making though overall? Because I mean, so much from special effects to the way we tell stories, sound, everything.
Yeah, when George Lucas started making Star Wars, they didn't actually have the technology to do it. And in fact, the stress of trying to develop the technology put him in the hospital during the production of Star Wars.
Oh, man.
Star Wars has also changed how we see movies generally. When The Empire Strikes Back came out, they said, you know, we're hearing this in our studios really well, but audiences are getting it in mono. So if you want to play Empire Strikes Back, you've got to do it in stereo. And with Return of the Jedi, they added another speaker. And then when Phantom Menace came out 25 years ago, if you can believe it, they said that you had to have a 5.1 surround sound stereo system to play it. So they improved sound by sort of holding the theaters hostage by saying, if you don't bring yourselves up to this standard, we're not going to let you play Star Wars, and we know you want it. With Attack of the Clones, which was the first movie ever shot digitally instead of on film, they gave preferential bookings and percentages to theaters that booked digital cinema projection. And now it's hard to find a theater that doesn't have that digital cinema projection that they were all sort of skeptical of when George Lucas really said, like, if you want on this Star Wars gravy train, you're going to have to make the technology of your cinemas better.
I feel like we're running out of time, but I would like to discuss this more. Anything, so you named your son Anakin, and do you
Yeah.
have a whole Star Wars themed house, or how does that work?
No, actually, I mean, I have some posters up, and I definitely have a lot of books. I do a lot of writing about Star Wars professionally. I write most of the Star Wars trading cards, actually, that come out. I write those, so I need a lot of reference material. So most of it's contained in my office because I need that for reference material. But I think that if I had Star Wars all over my house, I might go a little bit too far over.
But you're making a living
Yeah.
off of this,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is just incredible to think about that. A lot of people do.
Yeah.
Not just the people who made the movie.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
his
yeah,
tie,
for
too.
sure.
I'm just noticing
Yeah.
that, too. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's
Fashion.
incredible. Bryan, thanks a lot for coming in today.
My
Yeah,
pleasure.
thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Very
So
enlightening.
interesting.
So interesting.
You're an interesting guy. Looking at his bio, a very interesting person. So thanks a lot, Bryan. Appreciate it.